Hey guys, welcome. Welcome to our first lecture to the Cypress. In this lecture, basically in the complete course, we have learned the Cypress from the scratch. Then we will check the framework creation with the help of the Cypress. Then we will learn the framework creation as well as the API testing with the for Cypress, all the Cypress commands and all the structure that we have. So it's a complete end-to-end Cypress tutorial. Using that, basically, we can learn the Cypress from the scratch. Then we will jump into the typical commands and handling all the alerts and framework creations, and then with the deal with the all the modern application and real life scenario that we will handle as part of the Cypress automation. So start with what is Cypress and why is required for the automation testing. So since we have the multiple automation tools that is already available in the market, like Selenium, Protector, QTPs, and all those, then why Cypress is required in the market and why it's required to learn? Because if you learn, the Cypress is the next generation front-end automation tool that is used for the modern web application. So what does that mean? To check this, if we move to that the Cypress official website and click on the docs part, then this page will open. It's a Cypress site like cypress.io. So if you click on that part, so why Cypress? So if you just scroll down and check. So in the nutshell, they are saying Cypress is a next generation front-end testing tool that built for the modern web that address the key pain points for the developers and QAs that we face while testing the modern application. So what are the key pain points that we have faced as part of the testing the web application? First one is the asynchronous issue. Means sometimes that element is not loading or because of the element is not present or maybe the element is not visible or visible after the few events that we have to handle. In that case, the Selenium not explicitly handle these types of the situation and we have to put some extra code, and sometimes if that condition is not fulfilled, our test case will fail. But in the Cypress, if you move to this but document, that they say the Cypress automatically waits for the command and assertion before moving to the next one. Means what it means, like if you go to that documentation and we have to click on this FAQ link, and suppose that FAQ link is not visible or we have to click on some other link like this and then FAQ link is visible. So in that case, Cypress is intelligent enough and it will handle this types of the scenarios, and it waits for the FAQ link to be visible and then only it will perform the next action. So no more asynchronous issue now. So if you handle these types of the scenario and these types of the situation, then using this intelligence of the Cypress, you can handle these. So that is the first major advantage that we are using the Cypress is automatically waits for the command and assertion and then perform the next one. So that is the auto intelligence. In the Selenium and all, we have to provide the implicit wait or the explicit wait and explicit write the code, but no more required here. That is the first advantage. Second one is the ability to test API test cases with mocking. So what that means? So for that, basically, if I again move to the browser and open some page in my third tab, just give me a second. So if I open that page, this is a login page for suppose the BSNL website, and it's a login page, and that basically we have to enter the username and the password and then click on the sign in, or we can log in using the Facebook, Google Plus, Microsoft, and the LinkedIn as well. So if we use these all options and click as a Google as a sign in, then we have to provide our Google username and password. Then it will go to the Google server and they will validate our username and the password, and based on that they will provide the response. And based on the response, that BSNL allow us to log in into that particular application and perform the action. But suppose while testing the application, we have some scenarios like we have to test like that the Google service is down, and based on that user is not able to log in. Click is provide a Google username and password and it throws suppose 400 errors, the service is not found and all. And based on that, basically we have to test the scenario. Then this type of scenario, how it's possible to test in the automation. In the Selenium, there is no way to that. mock the API response and put the mocking response to that API and test it. But in the Cypress, if I open the developer console using F12, so in the network section, there the all the network request will come. If I click on the sign in or sign up button, you are able to see the network request is coming. So in the Cypress, we have control to these types of the network request. So using that control, we can modify this network request or inside, and we can modify the status code as well as the request and response. So we can alter that to the 200 to 400 or something else, and we can test this type of the A scenarios. That is previously not possible using any other automation tool. So that is the mocking the API response, and using that we can test the edge cases scenarios. So that is also possible in the Cypress. That is the another advantage that we can see. And the third and the most important advantage that we actually use in the daily basis, like the take the snapshot. So in the Selenium, if you want to take the snapshot, we have to write the specific code and then we have to save the screenshot. But in the Cypress takes the snapshot for your test automatically, and the Cypress test runner, it will provide the each step. I will showcase you how the Cypress test runner will work. And using that, basically, we can click on the each step and check what exactly is happening. So it's very useful for the debugging purpose. And it's delivered fast because of its architecture that we can discuss in the later part. And test experience compared to other automation tool is fast. That because of its architecture. And basically the one more exciting feature is like it's record video for every text execution. That will help for our debugging. So if you execute the test cases, it will record the video for the debugging purpose, and using that video you can easily check why our test case is failing and what is the root cause behind that. So that is another cool feature that we have for the Cypress. So these are the all basically the advantage that we have if you compare to Cypress to the Selenium to Protector or basically that any other automation tool. Then why we are using in the Cypress or in your company, if somebody tell why you are using the Cypress, why you are not using any other automation tool, you can explain these types of the example. That is basically very helpful for that why it's a unique automation tool and what other advantage over the other automation tool. Then move to the another topic is like it's built on the Node.js part and it's come with the npm module. Also it support the jQuery, so suppose you can use the jQuery commands also while using the Cypress, but by default the Cypress command is self-sufficient, or we can do our 90% work around using the Cypress command only. So it's very easy and it's like a plain English command. Using that basically we can use the Cypress. That we will learn in a upcoming lecture. So basically that is the Node.js command, but we can use the Cypress default command only for our automation purpose in maximum scenarios. So that is, and then move to the another topic, that is Cypress architecture. So what is the Cypress architecture and what is different from the Selenium and any other automation tool? To understand that, just Google it and open the Selenium architecture. Just click on that. It's opening. Yes. So that is the Selenium WebDriver architecture that we are using. Here you can see there is a WebDriver. So in the Selenium WebDriver, here we are writing all the codes and script that we are writing for our automation purpose. And you are all guys know when we are running our test on the Selenium using the Chrome or the Firefox or any other browser, we have to install the driver specific browser like Chrome driver for the Chrome, Gecko driver for the Firefox, and other driver as well for other browsers. And then the browser that we are executing the test. So in the Selenium, our WebDriver will execute the script and talk to the browser specific drivers, and then the drivers will execute the command onto the particular browser. So basically it execute the command outside the browser and then execute our automation test. But if you come to the Cypress and the Cypress architecture, so if the Cypress is directly communicating with the browser, basically Cypress is sit inside the browser and execute the commands. So using that only, Cypress have control to the whole browser because it's working inside the browser only. So using that, basically we can modify the DOM, and the previously I will show you we can mock the network responses and modify the network responses also. So these are the things are only possible because the Cypress is working inside the browser only. So that is the basically structure. That's why because of its architecture is fast and to the other automation tool, because other automation tool is working outside the browser, but the Cypress is working inside the browser only and have the control to the DOM, ability to modify the DOM and ability to modify the network responses, request and responses as well. So these are the basically the architecture that the Cypress have. So this why we have said the Cypress is to listen the modify the browser behavior at runtime, manipulating the DOM and alternate the network requests and responses. So these the Cypress architecture, and that is the difference between the Selenium and the Cypress architecture. Now move to the another one is the Cypress browser support. Which browser Cypress support? So for that, go to the official website only, the cypress.io. That is their official website. So all the related commands and differences and all these things you can generally check in the website only. So we can use this website very frequently in our lecture basically. So if you go to the search part and type for that browser support, and you just scroll down, or basically you can open this link as well. So it's not the correct one, but by default, the Cypress support like the Firefox, Chrome, Edge, and Electron, and many other browsers. So what basically that Chrome and Firefox or Edge, you all the guys you basically aware of. But what is Electron? So Electron is a basically Cypress based URL basically that built upon the Chrome, and that uses the limited features of the Chrome. It's basically a Chrome only, but using the limited features. So these all the browser basically is supported by the Cypress that we can use using the option, and that option will also come in the test. And when we work on the Cypress test, I will showcase you how you can select the browser using the UI only. As no, if you want to go through the code, it's also possible. If you want to select through the UI, that is also the way that we can support. So that is the overall for this lecture. In this, basically, we have learned why is Cypress and how is unique from the other automation tool, Cypress architecture, and its all the advantages and what all the browser is supports. In the next lecture, we will basically come up with the Cypress installation from the basic. We can use any editor and install the Cypress, and then we can check the Cypress using run the Cypress using the test runner or using the run the Cypress using the command prompt and all these things. In the next lecture, we will come up with the installation part with the